Testing, 1, 2, test. Testing, 1, 2. All right. Thank you for joining me. My name is Jaquab Ben Yisrael. Welcome to my channel. And all right, there we go. All right, thank you. Welcome to my channel. My name is Jaquab Ben Yisrael. And welcome, Jehovah. I thank you for this opportunity to share the light, to say something that will help any brother or sister scattered in the world today who are faithless, who believe in the OAHSPE, to help them to grow, redeem the time while we are on the earth. I ask that you would strengthen me to speak and say things that are easy to understand, and to show that the OAHSPE is anointed, is special, it comes from you, and I pray that you give me the ability to reveal the wonders of this newest revelation given to us to help us to redeem the time and to know about the libraries of heaven that you said you were going to open for us, so that we can stand on our own, we can walk on our own, we can live according to our inner light and our highest principles. Jehovah, I just can't thank you enough for the freedom that you are now calling brethren to come into, to depart from religion and worship of intermediaries and gods, lords, and saviors. I can't thank you enough, Jehovah. I just cannot. I think it's the best thing known to mankind. I believe the OAHSPE is the only hope for mankind. I just can't thank you enough for being able to take part in this thing. So, Jehovah, I just ask that you help me to say these things that I'm going to say and speak on. In your name, I give thanks and praise, so let it be. All right, brethren, thank you for joining me. My name is Jaquab Ben Yisrael, and welcome to my channel. And man, I'm going to just get right to it. On the board here, on the screen here, you see my channel. And really, that is also a picture of what the billboard project is going to look like. That's going to go up in August 31st. I think, let me see, the one in August is going to, the Tucson billboard is going up, and then the one on September, now they're telling me September 14th, the one in Cincinnati and Biscayne Garden, Florida is going to go up. So that's just the start. The billboard project, the creator, he gave us inspiration
to put it up. And so the objective now is to put up a billboard in every state in the United States and then all over the world. All over the world. Now, you can take part if you want to. I should have a link in the description video area for, I have a GoFundMe page where if you want, you can take part, chip in. The costs are pretty profound for a billboard. The billboards that you see, it could be upwards of $10,000-$20,000, you know? And so they range from, 400, hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars. If you want to put a billboard up at Times Square, you're talking about a good $25,000, $40,000, $30,000, $50,000. Put a billboard up in Times Square. So I just happen to believe that you can't stop the creator. And if this thing is according to his will, their money ain't really a factor. Now, I put up a GoFundMe page. If you want to take part, you want to chip in, that's fine. But if not, the project is going to go forward anyway, It's going to go forward. There's nothing, I certainly believe that the creator is giving this wisdom, this knowledge, understanding so that we can, I happen to believe it's one of the sparks for making the OAHSPE mainstream, to make it mainstream. So I'm just excited about it. The Billboard project. I also want to direct your attention to the Books to Prison program in the video comment section. And the comment section there, I should have a link where you can click on it and you can send books to prison. You can send the OAHSPE to prisons. So as you could tell, I guess I'm kind of finding out that this is an outreach sort of ministry, sort of channel that I have. I seem to have an outreach spirit where I think that we have something that is worth sharing. I think that it's the only hope for mankind. I think the OAHSPE is the only hope for mankind. I'm the type of brother where I remember saying something to somebody, or I forget what it was. It has something to do along the lines of, if it's only temporary, I don't want it. I just don't want it, man. I'm not going to work for it. I'm not going to struggle for it if it's just something temporary. I think I might have said it to some girl that either I have 100% of you or none at all. I'm not sharing you with anybody. And I don't want, and I'm not going to share me with anybody, with you. I think I've had that type of mindset all my life, that I don't want anything that's temporary. I want what is eternal. I just want what is eternal. So as you could tell, my desires for the earth, my passion for the earth or anything of the earth, I it was pretty much killed a long time ago, because I felt that way all my life from a young age when I when I first realized that people leave. Sometimes people leave. They leave the earth. From a young age, And so to me, that spoke of everything is temporary, at least for the here and right now. It's temporary, temporary, temporary. That's what I used to think when I was younger. And so I just never had a full desire, passion for the things of the earth from even a young age. I just didn't, I just never had that desire. I knew that there was something. I knew it was forever. I knew it was eternity. I didn't know the words that I'm saying right now. Back then, I know now. And I just, that's why I keep shaking my head at the OAHSPE, the way the creator. And I know there are other people like me who feel the same way, that they want what is eternal. They want what is forever. And they seem to know intuitionally that there is a way that they're going to get an answer. They're going to get an answer to that voice that's in their soul. And so that's the same way. That's the situation for me. And it just so happened I didn't know I was spiritual until I got older. And then I started going down that road, that zigzag, the zigzag of religion. So anyway, welcome to my channel, the Billboard Project, the Books to Prison. And then also we have a website, Universal Faith to Cosmin, The Billboard Project is in collaboration with Universal Faith is a Cosmic and the Unknown Many. And so the website, we have a website for anyone that's interested. For ministry and information, you can go here. Here are the ministries right here. Here's the creed that I used to read, but you can read it yourself if you want to. You want to know what we're all about, what faithists believe. And this is something that's going to cover the earth, man. It ain't going to be no way around faithism. There is no way around faithism, man. And the OAHSPE, the OAHSPE, it talks about separation. See, that's one of the things that the world doesn't know about there is separation in the OAHSPE. There's such a thing, man, is separation in the OAHSPE. And the creator, he don't apologize for it. If you ask somebody in the world, if you ask anybody in the world, see, we live in the world and people are motivated to do the best they can for themselves. If you notice the world, the people are inclined to do the best they can for themselves, to attend to their own needs first. That's the world. That's the world we live in. Just like a baby only knows its own hunger, its own discomfort, Same way with humans. So you really can't blame people for seeking. They're going to seek their own. That's why the OAHSPE is going to be very unpopular. It's going to be very unpopular because one of the primary tenets of the OAHSPE is to learn to serve, to learn to give, try to learn to be of service to other brethren. And I'm trying to do something while I'm talking. And that's not a comfortable thing for the flesh, especially in America. It's a real entitled country. We can't do without even a little bit of discomfort. But that's why the OAHSPE, it's very unpopular because the creator, it's amazing, man, how the creator, and it makes sense, man, that's some serious maturity, man, that he's calling us to learn to put down our own selfishness, our desires, the me mindset, the ego, the vainglory, the seeking of, our own, desires, our own passions, primarily focused on ourself. And the creator says that the eternal kingdom that he's offering to all of us it's just not that way. So this here is a channel, man. It ain't for everybody. The study that I'm doing, it's on achieve full individuality or else, man. Achieve full individuality or else. This is a faithist channel. It's not aligned with no other faithist channels because my inner light is not the same as everybody else's inner light. And I hope to attract brethren who are like-minded as the inner light that I have, which is that the earth is a temporary testing ground for us to grow, to redeem the time, to learn to take off the flesh, take off the ego, the me, the pride, the vainglory, to learn to be what the OAHSPE calls self-abnegating. This is a channel for people like that. We take it seriously, man, that we've been endowed with a spiritual grade. And this is a channel where I'm calling on you, brethren, to fulfill that grade, man. Fulfill it, take advantage of the time. If you have inner light in you and you can hear the creator silently talking to you, basically, see, one of the things I love, man, and I feel I'm learning, and thank you, Jehovah, I love it, man, the way the creator give you an opportunity to he give you an opportunity to bless other people, man, with this new light. Had a brother come over delivering my food, a white brother, man, and I ask everybody that comes here, I say, hey, you believe in God? They say, yeah, 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 yeah. I ask him, I say, hey, man, you believe in God? He said, absolutely, man. I got a ring that has the Lord's Prayer on it. Some people you get a strong witness from. Some you don't get so strong a witness from. I give my index card and point them to the OAHSPE, and they go on their way. This brother, he gave strong witness. He was fired up, came inside my house. We started talking, and he's the kind of brother, man, that I want. I believe, I'm sorry, man. I'm in my 60s, and I know I sound like a kid sometimes, but I believe the OAHSPE. I believe that he's going to separate people who you are like you, who are like-minded. I like to be around good people. I like to be around relatable, social type of people. I like to be around people who don't hold grudges, though not easily offended, or if they get offended, it's for your own good and because you're doing something to hurt yourself. People who believe in the Creator, people who don't mind. They seek your welfare, man. I want to be around them. I'm ashamed to say so, man. That's why I rejoice, because the Creator, he giving us that opportunity right now. When you read the OAHSPE, like attracts like. Like attracts like. I believe it, and there's a separation in the spiritual. Matter of fact, I think I might even still have it on screen that I can share with you. I found something by mistake. Well, it wasn't really by mistake, but I found something. I clicked off on it, didn't I? I bet you I clicked off on it. Nope, here it is right here. Here it is right here, man. Something I found in the OAHSPE. Satantes chapter 11, and now the long journey, and this is evidently talking about when Satantes was coming to the New World, getting ready to set up the kingdom, or not set up the kingdom, but to set up his administration over the Red Star, which is the earth. It says, and now the long journey across the ocean was about to begin. God said, great is your wisdom. Now God, talking about Satantes. I think there are many gods. I think this might be talking about Satantes. It said, God said, great is your wisdom, O Jehovah, in the division of waters. Look at that, the division of waters. Now, I happen to think it's talking about atmosphere, the upper heavens. It says, your barriers protect nations from nations. That's separation, brethren. Look, it says, you have made a refuge beyond the waters. Look, where the evil man cannot pursue. See, there is separation in the OAHSPE. If you hear you on the earth and you kind of like going to jail and shooting people up and being a part of a dangerous gang of people who are lawless on the earth, and they give glory and honor to people who are known for breaking the law and fighting and killing other people, and you like hanging around with that crowd, the Creator, he don't argue with you. He don't argue with you, man. We live in the earth where people place a premium on the beast kingdom nature in men. The more brutal the more of a brute a man is, the more glory and honor he has while he's on the earth. The more brute, that's why combat sports are so popular. MMA, boxing, fighting, bare knuckle fighting, and face slapping. You even got females doing that stuff. And them men receive lots of glory and honor. You got the violent sports and football, and you see all the glory and honor that they receive. It's just like in the Bible. Men give glory to winged creatures and four-footed beasts. That let you know that we under a powerful, low spiritual grade. But when you come around to the OAHSPE, you're going to read, man, that the atmosphere of the heavens is not the same as the earth. There's no glory and honor in walking around talking about how many guys you whacked because you was part of the Gambino crime family. There ain't no honor and glory in that. And you go to those people who you glorify, who you're like-minded with, those gangsters, those lawbreakers, those, John Dillinger types and Al Capone, the ones you worshiped on earth, you're going to go right. You will be right with them. Like-minded equals like-minded. Me personally, no thank you. I don't want to have to every 3 seconds have to duck because of a bullet flying. Or now, I'm embellishing a little bit, but I believe I'm talking OAHSPE. I'm simply talking to you about the principle of like goes to like, man. So if you're here, you're on the earth, and you have a pattern of being that type of spirit, the creator, he lets you go according to your free will. That's why that's why it's so important. The creator is telling you, hey, this is the time you have to make yourself, make your spirit, make your character, make your dignity, and to show yourself to be the kind of person you want to be, the kind of people you want to be around. Now, I take that seriously. I take it seriously, and I believe that I have something that is good for all of mankind, which is this light of the OAHSPE, and I believe I should share it. I should share it, and I'm inviting you to join me, do the same thing. You can put up billboards in your area, and just introduce people just introduce it to them. Like the OAHSPE say, don't try to recruit, don't try to proselytize, but it ain't nothing wrong with publicizing it. You look around you, man, and I haven't even really gotten started, how I like to talk geopolitically from time to time on this channel here and let you know what's going on, Hey, man, look, I'll spare you. I'll spare you, man. I'll just spare you, man, because, you brother know what I could say in talking about the things to come and actually are beginning to happen right now. All I got to really say is keep an eye on prices. And specifically, if you want to get a good idea and you ain't got much time to look and see what's going on in the earth under the Uzians, under their rulership of the earth, and how it is really declining, getting worse day by day. Over here in America, do this one thing. Look at diesel prices. Look at diesel. Look at the cost of diesel. And the more, when you see it going up, everything else is going to go up. Groceries, manufacturing, anything that has to do with means of production, everything, because diesel, there are like endless byproducts that come from that diesel in one way or another plays a part. So if you don't want to get all caught up in all that minutia and the details and, trying to all that talk, that the Uzians do that you can't understand, and the numbers and the 10-letter terms, just do an end round around the whole thing. Look at diesel prices. Matter of fact, look, let me show you something. Diesel set a record for August. Diesel fuel prices set a record for August. Look at this. U.S. diesel prices have surged to record high seasonal averages. And you can't hardly get the internet, AI, you can't hardly get it to say anything to tell the truth about our situation, because it's still people behind this that don't, the way the philosophy that America seems to have right now is they just won't say, they won't tell, they just let you hit the wall. They just wait till they do a cold crash. They're not really about letting the truth get out. The news media is censored. They're handcuffed, And so even for it to be coming out on the internet like this is telling you something. Look at this, diesel prices. Now, I'm mentioning this again, man, because I like to talk about things that affect us on the earth, affect us, man, Now, a faith can take heart, because our hope is not in the world, but by looking at what is going on, man, then we could learn a lesson. You know what I mean? We could Give thanks for our foundation, man, about the spiritual realities that the Creator is telling us about, so that we don't have to put our hope in the earth. When you see the foundation of the earth cracking, it only takes a little bit for their foundation to crack, man. Only a little bit. People's endurance, it's only skin deep, man. Any type of inconvenience to people, and it only takes a fraction, man, before they just will flip out. That means you got a very thin foundation. It's very thin. Your whole hope is in this reality. Your whole hope is in this reality. You take away somebody's only hope, man, you take away their whole foundation. Faith is the world. It's not our foundation. U.S. diesel prices have surged. Now, what does that mean? How many byproducts come from diesel? Diesel is not typically used as a raw material to manufacture other commercial products. Rather, diesel itself is a co-product from crude oil. When crude oil is processed, diesel sits in the middle distillate range. Okay, I was hoping it would just give me like a list, so we could see like the machinery that goes in the trucks that delivers the food, like the oil that helps with the packaging, which helps with the farm machinery that plants the crops. You could go all over the place. Here, maybe this is something right here. So far as what it does, maybe this can tell us something, a little bit of something. It says flow of crude oil and gasoline to your local gas station. Okay, so that's just talking about the infrastructure of how gas gets to us. So we can leave that alone. So I just say again, man, I just say these things to impress upon you that we got to pay attention. We want to pay attention, man. And when you see things that are coming on the earth, we should try to learn something from the whole situation spiritually. We should just try to learn. That's the only reason why I'm saying these things to you. And here, the Creator, he talks about separation, man. This is a hard truth about the OAHSPE. He said, you have made a refuge beyond the waters where the evil man cannot pursue. Yet greater still, your spirit oceans, O Father, the spirits of darkness cannot cross over, and the spirits of newborn peoples are not contaminated. See that? People who cross over into the spirit, they do not go to places where there are other spirits that have had a chance to mature but have not. Newborns do not go there. Look, because the Creator does not want them to be contaminated. Newborns, like abortions, young babies, spirits of newborn people, not contaminated with people who have had a chance to grow and mature on the earth and to live a life on the earth. And the Creator says, nah, newborns do not get mingled with those people, Oh, you far-seeing, you bestower of thrift into the hands of your lords and gods. I'm going to do a word study on darkness Friday. I'm going to do a word study on darkness, man. I'm going to do a word study on it. So anyway, this is just a little bit. I got off talking about separations. There's a separation in the OAHSPE. And if we took that seriously, then we would align ourselves more closely with the Creator. We would take the time on the earth, man. Even if it means you got to be all alone. You got to walk all on your own. You got to hold your light all by yourself. Nobody to help you. Nobody to encourage you. While you take the time, while you are here on the earth, to do battle with your own self, your ego, your vainglory, your selfishness. So this here journey, it ain't no joke. But if you talk again, man, if you talk to anybody in the world, they work for their own self-interest. The world work for their own self. They go to school, On the weekend, they get off of their 40-hour-a-week job. They work on the garden. They work around the house. They put in a new roof. They put in a new paneling. They constantly working on their own comfort zone, on their own entertainment. You got my drift? That's where we live. That's where we live, man. And we don't prioritize the shortness of our life, man. The brevity of our life, It's just the most of me. I can't get my mind around it. It's got to be a gift the Creator give to you. That's what this whole thing is about. I just say the same thing over and over again. I'm gonna say the same thing until my time is finished, man. That's what this channel is for, to remind us this is the densest, darkest region, man. The earth is the densest, darkest region. And you see the effect that it has on most people. To tie them to the earth, to tie them to the flesh, to tie them to the self, to tie them to the ego, to tie them to self-glory. That's the pull. That is the power of the earth, man. So that's what this channel here is all about. It's not for everybody. When you're talking about the OAHSPE, it is a very, very small group of people in which everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome if only you're willing, man. Now, going from here, I'm going to go into the study, and then I'm going to do a little bit on the Gospel of Thomas translations, which I love so much, and then I'm going to close the video. So, the name of the study, what am I forgetting? Am I forgetting something? I feel like I'm forgetting something. I can't think of anything right now. I'm going to remember it right after I close the video. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about individuality. We're going to talk a little bit about individuality, man, and the importance of it. Like I was sharing earlier, individuality, man, is your ability to stand up and to hold the light that you have been given, to stand, to even if it means opposition. Even if it means opposition. Hold on a second. Okay, somebody sent me something. I was reading it. Okay, I got to answer this. Bear with me for 1 second. Bear with me for 1 second. I got to do something. What does OAHSPE mean? Okay, brethren, hold tight. Somebody sent me something. I got to answer this. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, brethren. Somebody sent me something just now, and I had to answer it. Okay, now, the study is on full individuality, man. Full individuality. Now, this is important. This is really important because, number one, it's in the OAHSPE, where the Creator, he talked about full individuality. If I can just bring it up let's separate this real quick. Okay. Number one, it's in the OAHSPE. And it's one of the more important things that probably you don't hear a whole lot about. And it has to do with what we are called to do as faithists, which is to get to a point. Oh, no, wait a minute. Oh, shoot, it's recording me. Oh, that's why I didn't understand what was on the screen. Let's see. Let's do some editing real quick here. It was recording me. Okay, now we got it. All right, now in OAHSPE, full individuality is explicitly tied. There's something I'm forgetting that I wanted to share with y'all. Something that has to do with individuality. Hopefully I'll remember it as I go along here. One thing I kind of notice is like we live in a world where people are. I find it amazing. See, I remember what it is. I recall, the OAHSPE, how it describes us as basically. I was studying how did we become corrupt. I was looking at that. How have we become corrupt? How do we get started? What set us down that path? And I come to find out that when we were created, we were without shame, we were without remorse, but we lived on an animal level. I'm sure all you brethren, you understand this, you know this. And so we were without guilt, we were without conscience, and we were without corruption. Now, that's how we were originally created. We were created incorruptible, without corruption. We were naturally what we were. We were without conscience. We were, we were without shame. And in a sense, that's more pure than where we are now, because we were doing things. What's a good word for subconsciously? We were more in line with what we were created. But we began to be educated, and if you read the OAHSPE, you remember the account where the angels, the God of the earth came and said, why are the people good? Y'all remember that part? Why are the people good? And the angel said, because we have taught them everything and we do everything for them. Y'all remember that? And then the God said, but there's no honor in that. They have to learn to do things on their own. So depart from them for a while and let them be tested. And then that began to, from what I understand, then we began to decline. We the Uzians or whoever the people were at that time, I forget the name of them, they began to rob the IHENs or, take their stuff. And then IHENs used to get attitudes and, so from what I understand, that was like the start of things, and then you had the Anahasha, I think, came along and saying, take whatever you want, and sow to your flesh. And so man did and started eating flesh and started going on started to go down the road of conquest and taking things. And, and so we were headed down that road of corruption. But initially we weren't meant to be that way. We weren't created that way. And now we've gotten from then until now, here we are now. And it seems like we're digressing. It seems like we're actually going backwards. And so now we got the OAHSPE, the creator is telling, look, you were naturally meant, you were created to serve one another, to live in communities with one another, to do for one another, to not have any strange gods and intermediaries before me. And he basically calling you back to that. We are being called back, man, to what we were at the beginning. Only now we got knowledge, but we got to be called back, man. You see where we are now. We're a country, we're a world of people. We like to fight, we like to argue, we like to be offended. We like to, pick up a gun. We weren't never supposed to be like that, man. You know that. So the approach the creator is taking is like, all right, I'm not going to violate your free will, man. If that's what you want, when you get to that point where you know better than to be doing things like that, I'm not going to interfere. I'm going to let you go down that road every now and then. I'm going to let my angels come in, inspire you to, think about this, to what is righteousness, and, go down that road. Going to try to, nudge you a little bit. Not going to try to change your, not going to try to, violate your free will. We getting called back, man, called back to what we originally were. And in this day and age, that requires a lot of individuality, man, because you got to go against the whole world. You must be able to hold that light, hold that light, man, in your vessel, which is your spirit, your body, your soul. We got to hold that light, man, because we in a world full of opposition. You face this, man. Hold that light, man. Even if you all by yourself, that's what the creator is really teaching me. Every now and then, he send me somebody like that brother that delivered my food earlier today, man. I got a kick out of that guy. Just before that brother, the creator sent me a Mexican woman. I got a kick out of her, I started talking to her. I said, hey, you believe in God? She said, yeah. Yeah, I do, So I reached in, I gave her one of my little index cards, I seen she was wearing a shirt that said Arizona. I said, so you been to Arizona? You went to U of A? She said, no, that's my dream. I said, you're going to make it, And she was walking away. I said, hey, what are we going to study? She said, humanities. I said, hey, get back here. Because the humanities department, as I was telling you, brethren, my attempts to publicize the OAHSPE to the University of Arizona, and I met up with this professor in the humanities department, and he shut it down. I've told you many times about my interactions with him. I called her back and said, hey, the humanities department, I went down there a couple weeks ago trying to introduce the OAHSPE to the department down there, and it didn't work, And so that opened the door for me to share with her, talk with her, See, it's incredible how we have an opportunity to bless people. I still have this spirit on me now, though, where I have changed, where I just keep to myself. I even had the opportunity a couple of times last week to come out with the OAHSPE, and I held my peace because I sized up the person I was talking to. I didn't feel like throwing my pearls before swine. I size up people. I look at them. I take mental notes, we all do that before I open my mouth. And I'm at a point now where I just hold my peace, except when somebody they have to really open that door, really open that door, man. I seem to be the type of brother where I can go out in public and people just kind of, I can kind of attract people to, because I'm a big guy. I'm in a power chair. And I think in this nation here, people look at like large men and they kind of idolize them. They look at it, I'm not trying to brag or boast, or I don't really care, but from experience, I seem to, like, I go out in public and I seem to attract somebody. Well, maybe it's the same for everybody. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's the same for everybody. I can only speak to my own experience in life. And so I'm saying that I feel I have an opportunity to speak and share. And nowadays, since, the OAHSPE, the creators seems to really impress upon me to not be so eager to share with people, even with other faithists. Not everybody is a true faithist who say they are true faithists. I hate to say that, but I found that out, much to my discouragement. But I realize, I think the creator, he's not playing. If you want to try to sow to the earth and you want to carry a spirit of the earth, then the creator, he, from what I have learned, he does not violate your free will, he will associate you with the earth if you're under the spirit of the earth, meaning you identify more with the earth than things of the spirit. I take that seriously. And I know there are people out there, they're just ready to be plugged in. They are ready to be plugged in, man. That's all they need. They just need to be plugged in. That's why I'm so excited for the Billboard Project. The Billboard Project, man. Man, oh man, that just blessed my soul. Full individuality, man. Full individuality. What is the definition of individuality? What is the definition of it? What is the definition of full individuality? Full individuality is a complete state of possessing unique traits, thoughts, and identity. That's what everybody in the world really is. We all got some trait, some thought, some identity, and it fully distinguishes us from a person from everybody else. That's the beauty of all of us, man. And so when you couple that with the knowledge of the light, now you go about, you flavor the world with your own unique self. Your own unique self, man. The way you say things, the way you do things, the way you laugh, the way you cry, the way you joke around, you can now go about, just stay away from them deities. That's primarily, and flesh eating is pretty much, what I see in the OAHSPE, that it warns against, those type of things. Get yourself understanding and knowledge. There is such a thing called deception out there. Deception is real. You may be a great guy, man. See, individuality is the complete state of you-ness. You, ness, N-E-S-S, you-ness. Your unique traits, your unique thoughts, your identity, and it fully distinguishes you from everyone else. See, the creator, we live in a world where people, they tie themselves to like famous people, like in this world here. Like one of the things you see is like, you'll see people wearing football jerseys of their favorite star. Now, if you ask them, do they idolize them? They'll say no. Some people will say that. You know what I mean? But subconsciously, you could just be deceiving yourself, tying your identity to someone else's instead of your own. Now it's innocent enough thing. You know what I mean? It's an innocent enough thing. Don't nobody see no harm in it or anything like that. Oh, you just wearing a jersey, It don't mean anything, And in the past, I might have agreed with you, but I'm very leery of how inroads can make deception. I'm very leery, man. When it comes to my eternity, you know what I mean? I'm very leery nowadays. I'm very leery, man. Just like you get around a mother and a child, she is very leery of anyone coming around her child, or your soul, your spirit is your child. That's your child. See? And you are very leery of letting anything come into contact with that'll hurt you. That can damage you. At least that's how you should be. Our individuality is very important. You look at the religions, and one of the biggest disadvantages is it takes away individuality. Matter of fact, it has a very strong, what's a good word for making everybody the same, under the same, it's what's the word that I'm looking for, where everybody is a cookie cutter? Religion has that effect where everybody comes under one understanding of how they should be. And the Creator doesn't want that. He wants people, remember that song, Express Yourself? Express yourself. The Creator is saying we all have we all of us have the ability to, we're like a multicolored garment. We're all part of the Creator, you know, and he's just bringing us back to where we no longer allow other spirits to keep us in bondage, to tell us what to dictate to us how we should be, what we should think, unless it's in alignment with the Creator, which hardly nobody will do because the knowledge of the OAHSPE is nowhere to be found on a global scale. But the Billboard Project is going to change all that. So anyway, here's the definition of individuality. Absolute autonomy, total lack of conformity. There you go. That's what I was looking for. Religion teaches conformity. OAHSPE is a lack of conformity. It's conformity to the Creator. We are allowed to be ourselves and to be aligned with the Creator at the same time. In the center, we all meet. In the center, we all meet. All right, so enough on that. Let's go back to the study on individuality. Oh, shoot. It's almost time for the end of the video. How do you like that, man? Okay, I'm going to make this brief because I do want to look at the Gospel of Thomas. I'm almost out of time. How do you like that? I should just not even do this and pick it up another time. Oh, man. Okay, let me just hit some key points, and then I'm at the top of the hour. I'm gonna go to the Gospel of Thomas translations, do a couple of them, and close the video. In OAHSPE, full individuality is explicitly tied to spiritual maturity and is contrasted with the state of drugas, meaning low, undeveloped spirits. It is not a vague philosophical idea, but it's a measurable capacity. It's a measurable capacity, meaning you can tell. I mean, I had someone ask me in the chat, I was sharing about the Billboard Project. They said, but doesn't the OAHSPE talk about not proselytizing? And I was kind of surprised at the answer I gave. To me, it came totally from the Creator. I said that even if the Creator told me not, even if she said, I put up some information about the Billboard. She said, but doesn't the OAHSPE, doesn't it tell us not to proselytize? And I responded, I said, yes, absolutely. I said, yes, absolutely. I said, but even if the Creator told me not to share this with anybody, I would still do it anyway. I would still, more likely, I would still do it anyway. Even if the Creator said, don't share the light, I can't imagine keeping quiet. That's what I responded back to her. I cannot imagine keeping quiet about this. This is the only hope for mankind, you know? Now, another brother or sister might not say that, but I would. And I'm expressing what I truly feel, my individuality. That's being an individual, man, having a controversial opinion enough to share it. Not all the time, you know. Individuality, man, meaning you can stand up, man, on your principles. You can stand up, man. Direct definition. Jehovah said all angels below the first resurrection, save infants, shall be known in heaven and earth as drugas. Save infants, save infants. All angels below the first resurrection, meaning mortals, meaning human beings, below the first resurrection, except for infants, shall be known in heaven and earth as drudges, for they are such as have not capacity and knowledge or strength of individuality. Usually, these are people who follow other spirits. They don't have their own strength of spirit to stand up for what they really believe, according to knowledge. They need somebody else to speak for them. They need somebody else to, you know, it make me, well, they I don't want to sound harsh. I mean, some people can say things better than you can, and you can, but to make to join yourself to their spirit in the sense that you connect more with them than your own self, if that makes any sense. For they are such as have not capacity or strength and individuality. Full individuality equals capacity and knowledge and strength of individuality. This strength, and look at this, here's a good important point. It enables the soul to rule yourself over habits, desires, and external influences. To rule yourself. That's what we, as faithists, we call to rule over ourselves. Look here, act with purpose and wisdom rather than imitation or dependence. See, a lot of people are dependent on other people, dependent on their strength instead of your own. Full individuality, it enables you to rise independently into higher light instead of being bound or carried by force. That's why the Creator, he don't force you. Your free will, he give it to you, You have to be ready to come into to the light. And then you're going to pick up immediately. It's going to call you to walk your own path. Characteristics of those lacking full individuality: weak-willed, easily dominated by earthly attractions, intoxication, lust, greed, contention, and idleness. Contention, fighting with other people. Idleness, those are all characteristics of lower level influences. Limited mobility and awareness, often idiot-like, answering to any name or influences. Talking about people who lack full individuality. Look what it says. It says limited mobility, meaning you stagnate. Limited mobility and awareness, often idiot-like, meaning you stir people, man, they just never can get it. You can't, no matter how you explain it. Answering to any name or influence. Parasitic, meaning they inhabit these. Remember, again, this is talking about those lacking full individuality. Here's another characteristic. They're parasitic. They inhabit drudges. They inhabit mortals' houses or linger in darkness for years, centuries, until they get delivered. They drag stronger souls. See, that is important. Look at there. They drag stronger souls down if they get power. They drag, you can get a faithist hanging around an Uzian, and that Uzian can drag that faithist down. He can drag him down. The company you keep, man, if they got stronger spirits on them than you, they can drag you down. They drag stronger souls down if they gain power, but they can be reformed if your spirit is stronger than theirs. And they can be raised by the one who possesses greater individuality. See, you see the seriousness of this? You could be a faithist. And the type of people you keep company with, they can pull you down. They can lower your spiritual grade. By the way they act, their actions, if they act ghetto and hood and street, and then you're a faithist, they will get you. If they're stronger than you, you're going to, in time, you're going to be the same. Nobody will be able to even tell the difference between you or a Uzian, a faithist or a Uzian. How one attains full individuality. How one attains full individuality. A mortal who masters personal habits and desires at death first enters. A mortal who masters personal habits and desires at death enters the first resurrection. Their druges, if any, are delivered into light alongside them. Conversely, if you're ruled by vices and you become a druge at death, you remain in bondage until angels intervene. You see the way of the OAHSPE? See, now it's time for the top of the hour, so you just have to read this. Oh, shoot, man. I'm going to just keep going, and then I'm going to close. I'm not going to do Gospel of Thomas translations. I'm going to just keep, oh, man, but I love the Gospel of Thomas. Here, you can read this. Why don't you just read this if you want? You can read this. I'll scroll it. Characteristics. Like earthly drunks, paupers, vagrants, beggars, criminals, weak-willed, initiative, and often idiot-like and deranged behavior, they delight in vice, flesh-eating, and debauchery, war, contention, luxury, lying, slander, gambling, idleness. They inhabit mortals. One person may have a few, look at that, one person may have a few hundred Trojan spirits on him, and houses, even abandoned ones, and places of vice, body houses, courts, temples, battlefields, rich, idle households. Limited power. Most Druges cannot travel far from their hosts. They fasten on the people, matching their inclinations and pull them downward if stronger. That is a warning, man. People, if you connect with people who are Drugen spirits, they're under Drugen spirits, chances are you are going to be dragged down, even though you're a faithist. Even if you are a faithist, you read the OAHSPE, you talk from the OAHSPE, and you won't even realize the pull of Drugen influences. Your slant on the OAHSPE is going to eventually become a Drugen slant. Your characteristics, your mannerisms, your the way you speak, your attitude, and you won't even know it, man. You'll be getting pulled downward. Look at that. Druges, they can inspire madness, spells, or collective evil. But a wise, strong mortal can rule and reform them. A faithist we can reform our Druges. They cling to us, and we turn the tables and reform them. Origin and role. After death, souls without self-mastery, are joined Druges. They are a trial of mortals and angels, but part of the process of growth. Jehovah's chosen were sometimes commanded to marry among themselves to limit Drugen infestation. Book of Licca, chapter 11, verse 13. Nay, there is nothing too low or foul for them, and for most part they are but idiots and deranged imbeciles. Talking about Drugen spirits that do not have strength of individuality. Drugen spirits, man. We talking about a whole world of these type of influences. And you remember what we read in the OAHSPE? Do y'all remember? You remember what the Creator said? He said, if you don't provide a way for a spirit to elevate, they're gonna stagnate, and not only that, they are going to regress. That means go backwards. Go backwards, man. Stagnate, or if the light don't provide you with a way to constantly constantly be resurrecting, constantly be gaining power and authority over yourself, then there is no other option but to stagnate and go backwards. And go backwards. You can never tell a drunk they drunk. Or to stop drinking, man. You're getting drunk. Stop, man. And they just, oh man, I'm all right. And they keep going until they crash and kill 3 other people. I'm talking about a steady, a subtle, you know, it's a subtle thing where the influence, it can turn deadly for faithists, allowing Druidian influences to influence us. We okay, we okay. No, I'm strong enough. I'm not being, if we not constantly under a spirit of self-examination, if we don't examine ourselves, man, I'm telling you, this walk, it is so serious. The OAHSPE walk, the faithless walk is no joke, man. What we are, the situation we in, it ain't no joke, man. Okay, so what is the resurrection process? Resurrection is the gradual ascent of spirits from darkness and bondage to higher heavens through light, self-mastery, and service. Through light. See, it ain't enough to be you're a good dude, everybody like you, man, everybody get along with you, you're one of the guys, man, you from the hood, we all cool, we grew up together, yeah, I know him, man, he's all right, leave him alone, and see, influenced by, it's gonna be hard for you to hold that light, because it's hard, I admit, man, to stand up to your friend or friends or family for the sake of the light. It is not easy, man. I've had to do it. Man, and it ain't pleasant. Meaning, stand up to a friend and tell him, look, man, I'm on a different path now. I don't go down there. I don't like going down that path of joking about women and vulgarity. And hey, man, I'm sorry, but I don't do that anymore. I feel there's too much at stake, man. And the painful silence between the both, it's hard to bear. It is hard to take, man. And I was in his house when I was saying this. I was inside of his house, his physical house. One of my best friends, man. And I'm shocked he didn't throw me out, He just kind of changed the subject and we started talking about sports. But he knew where I stood, see? And man, it was unpleasant, But I will do it. I will do it because I have the Creator. He's allowed me a strength of individuality where I'm not going to always align with, I do not align with, you know what I mean? I don't agree with, I'm not always the way people expect me to be. You know what I mean? That's what the Creator called us to. Resurrection process is through light. You could be a great guy, man. You're a great dude, man. Everybody likes you. But if you don't have that light, if you don't have knowledge, which is going to teach you self-mastery, and if you not inclined to serve instead of serving yourself, you're not taking part in the resurrection process. You're not taking part. Resurrection process, it occurs in stages. First resurrection, and it's organized in cycles by Jehovah's gods and angels. It is works by behavior, not words, prayers, or rites. And so that explains where we come from. We were created. We were on the level of animals and angels. It came. They raised us. They taught us to stand upright and walk, and then to live in communities and to have governments, and we, to elevate from one level to the next. That's the resurrection process. Right now, we're in the cosmic era. The Creator is we've had enough of morality and religion. They were supposed to bring us to a point where we know that there's an afterlife. We know that the life on earth is not forever. It's not just temporary thing. So we should realize, we all know by now that there's such a thing as the spirit, the higher heavens. Okay, all right, we've learned to bow down under God's lords and saviors, to learn to worship and to obey. And, now the Creator is saying, the maturity of the flesh and the spirit. Now we're supposed to be ready for the maturity of the flesh and the spirit, which is where we are right now. And we're witnessing a large number of people who are not able to graduate to the next grade. It's a large number of spirits, man, that cannot make the graduate. They're held. You know how in school sometimes some people get held back. Have you ever heard that term? They were held back. They got to repeat the sixth grade. You got to repeat it, man. For mortals and their druges. If the mortal has dominion, you got self-control. At death, both the spirit and druges rise to the first resurrection and are delivered into light. How do you like that? Book of Micah, chapter 11, verse 20. Chapter 20. How do you like that? See? We all got druges on us. Overpower them things, man. And you, in addition to making a resurrection yourself, you help them to make the resurrection. It's a beautiful thing, man. If they have dominion over you, the mortals, you become, look at that, the mortal spirit, he becomes a truge. Fastening on others or lingering in darkness or houses for years or centuries, angels must later deliver them. Often, look, by bodily force, man. How do you like that? Determining factor, observable habits and behavior, determining factors of how we can examine ourselves, man, or if others examine you and see whether or not, hey, man, that dude there, he coming under the influence of druges. Look how he acting. Look the way he talk, man. Look what he do. He was man. At first, man, he was full blown OAHSPE. All the traits was there, brother was selfless, serving, looking to try to just share the light, man, build you up, encourage you. That's how it used to be. Observable habits and behavior, man, like controlling intoxication, greed, and anger. These are signs. Signs exist for angels and mortals to judge mastery. Book of Micah, chapter 12, verses 22, or chapter 22 to 26, or is that verses? This Book of Micah is chapter 12, verses 22 to 26. The key verse, Book of Micah, chapter 11, verse 22. If the mortal shall have risen to control himself over these habits and desires, then he will indeed, at the time of death, already entered into the first resurrection. And the druges, if he have any, will be delivered also. How do you like that? Angelic and collective deliverance. All right, time for the end of the video. If anyone wants to share something, put a 1 in the chat. When I get to the chat, if I see it, I'll bring you on. Let's see. Okay, good. I'm almost at the end anyway. Angelic and collective deliverance. High gods. For instance, Micah appointing Etzionitis and generals oversee large-scale work. Angels sort spirits like cattle. How do you like that? Angels, they sort spirits. They sort them. In corrupt cities full of druges, angels inspire good mortals to leave. Then sometimes burn the place, distracting druges and carry off millions by force to places of learning. How do you like that? Sometimes the angels, they'll burn a city. In corrupt cities full of druges. Is that in the spirit or on the earthly? What is the most recent city to have had a major burning fire? Spokane, Washington. Spokane, Washington is one of the most recent major fires to experience a catastrophic urban interface fire. The Spokane complex fires forced the evacuation of roughly 65,000 residents. The evacuation, what we were just reading, and destroyed over 800 structures after high winds drove fast-moving wildfires directly into populated neighborhoods. Look at that. That happened just recently. Spokane, Washington. Look here. Portland, Oregon. Los Angeles, California. Massive 7-alarm fire. Los Angeles, California. The Palisades fire. Remember y'all remember hearing about that? See? What does the OAHSPE say? In corrupt cities full of, now I don't know if it's true for them, if it's saying that. In corrupt cities full of drudges, angels inspire good mortals to leave. Now, I wonder if anyone ever testified of leave. Let's see. Has anyone ever testified of leaving the massive Spokane, Washington fire before it happened? Yes. Oh, okay. Well, they're saying someone who was guilty of lighting the fire. Okay, I'm talking spiritually. Here, they're identifying somebody who did it. I was wondering if somebody might testify, like, I had a strange influence come over me. I had a strange influence. It said, don't even get out now. I was looking for that type of testimony. I don't see anything. I'm not going to see anything. The internet is not geared to spirituality like that. But it says angels, they inspire good mortals to leave. I bet a faithist can testify this. Angels inspire good mortals to leave. Then sometimes they burn the place, distracting drudges, carrying off millions by force to places of learning. The goal, clear bondage so souls can develop individuality and rise. This serves spiritual resurrection, not earthly comfort. Warnings on false paths in the book of judgment. Asceticism, convents, man. You know what convents are? Where they get together in some mountain and somewhere and stay by themselves. What is a convent? A convent. A quiet place where people take vows and dedicate their lives to prayer and work. And the OAHSPE, it come down on that. People who hide themselves and just spend time praying. Monastery, often used for monks. Abbey or a priory, okay. Convents, man. Warning, false paths. Asceticism. Asceticism. What is the definition of asceticism? What is the definition of asceticism? A lifestyle of strict discipline and hard self-denial. People practice it by giving up worldly pleasures or physical comforts and rich foods. They do this to reach a higher spiritual goal, clear the mind, and grow closer to God. Warning, false path, asceticism, because it's more like you really are confirming your own self by the things you have done instead of the Creator. Rigid rites or self-focused purity imprison the mind, and lead to Drugen bondage after death, because it really gets you to focus on you, is from what I could see here. True resurrection comes from doing good for others, not isolation or ceremonies. See? Self is the chief aim of Satan. Yep, that's nice, man. Things that people say, man, that's really great, man, that you spending time up in the mountains praying and meditating, and you don't realize you're being influenced to focus on yourself. That's just a deception, getting you to focus on yourself. All right, so that's the end of the study. You can read that if you want to. And let me go to the room, because time for the end of the video. Let me see if anybody's in there. All right, I'm in the room now. Let me greet you. Brother Nazarene was in here. Brother Elijah. And I thank you, brethren, for joining me. And I want to, again, direct your attention to the video commentary section of the channel, where there's a link if you want to help with the billboard project. There's a link. Click on it. Make a donation if you want to, feel led to. Also, a link for the Books of Prison project, which is in the video commentary section, and other free stuff in the video commentary section. So, brethren, thank you for joining me. Jehovah, thank you for this opportunity to be a light, to try to share and redeem the time, and to say something, and to strengthen our foundation because of the situation in the world today. We know that we are in a situation where people's foundation is going to get tested. I just ask that you position Faithus in the world where we can be the greatest light, where we can have the greatest influence, and also for the peace, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to go through these things to make us better, to increase our spiritual grade, Jehovah. I pray for my brethren. I pray for our spirituality that wouldn't fail, Jehovah. I ask that you be glorified, and in your name I give thanks and praise. So let it be. Brethren, again, thanks for joining me. And until I see you again, peace be unto you. Shalom.